Hello. Welcome back to NFTs and Crypto with Moon Pie. I am so excited for this episode 3. This one really means a lot to me. Coming into this space, this is something that I've really wanted to talk about, and I feel like it isn't talked about enough, I guess. So, today we are going to talk about understanding and preparing for the toxicity and scam perception of the NFT market. The reason why this means a lot to me, because even making these videos, I wanted to be more than an NFT promoter or influencer or whatever the case may be. I actually wanted to put out these educational videos so that people can get the information that they need and maybe be a little bit more prepared when they step into this space, because it's very difficult and nobody really prepares you for some of the toxic stuff that you're gonna encounter while you are, coming into the NFT space. So before we get started, again, this is not financial advice. These videos are meant to be educational, and I just want to be able to kind of help with understanding this market, because it's very frustrating and can be very overwhelming when you cannot find the information that you're looking for, or you enter a space completely blind, not really knowing what is about to come at you. So this is why this one is super important to me. So, understanding and preparing for the toxicity and scam perception of the NFT market is a hard one. So, before we kind of get into the more personal nitty-gritty of why I wanted to talk about this and have a full episode on it, and I'm gonna try and keep her short and not overly long. Either way, I want to start off the video with scams that you should really know about before entering the market. There are a lot of them, and with the fast pace of this industry, they're ever growing every single day. So it is super hard, but there are the ones that you should really, the core in which you should understand before you even take a leap into buying an NFT. You should know about these scams. Okay, so we're going to talk about a handful of them, and then I am actually going to talk about a couple that have actually come up in the last couple weeks. So the first one is the big one, probably the most major one and the most personal one, and we'll come back to this one, but it is rug pull scams. So if you've never heard of this phrase, it is essentially when a project releases, sells out, doesn't even sell out, doesn't even have to, but a project comes out with a roadmap and everything. They create the community, they sell the project, and then essentially they get the money and they bounce. Okay, so they take the money, they don't continue on with the project, they don't continue on offering the utility, and essentially your NFT will crash to probably a value of 0, or 100 times less than what you had purchased it for. So this one's a tough one. This one's a tough one to even spot, right? So even in the idea of me talking to you about it now, I'm talking to you about it now so that you know that this is a potential of happening to you when you go into invest within a project. It can happen 110%. I personally have dealt with this. I will talk a little bit more, but out of respect, I won't mention project names, because it is a very difficult and still very fresh wound for a lot of people. So there have been some major rug pulls within the last year, but it's one of the hard ones, because even when you listen to people talking about it, and people will look at a particular project and they'll be like, that just looks like rug pull art, and people will be like, huh? And so someone new coming into the space, how would you know what rug pull art would look like or anything like that? So it always astounds me, some of the projects that do rug. So again, this is a very hard one that you should do a lot of research in, and one of which why a lot of people are very huge on a doxed team. So when you see this, when you're researching, when you're looking into these projects, when you hear the term doxed, it essentially means that the project lead, or the project team management, they tell you who they are. So there are third-party companies, dox companies, that will verify your identity, and you put it out to your community, and this allows them to feel a little bit more security in investing in your project. So this is why you will see this out there. This is why people are very huge on docs teams and kind of the level in which docs teams are. But this does not stop the rug from happening, because there was a project recently within the last several months that had a fully doxed team, was a very popular project, and they essentially still rugged anyway. So I know, very, very frustrating, and very difficult when you're trying to look into investing. So another one, and a very important one, is phishing, phishing scams. So these are, again, fake advertisements, pop-ups within social media, or Discord DM is probably the most major one that you really want to know about, especially when you're looking into these projects, because essentially on every mint day, you will get 50 fake scammer Discord DMs that look like they're from that server, that are pushing a link that is not the proper link. So that is usually what happens in phishing scams. You will click a link, or you will go, it will tempt you to go into looking at this project, thinking that it's the project, but it's not actually the project. And it takes you to a link that essentially you connect to, and it takes everything out of your wallet, because they now have access to your wallet. So this one is a huge one. Again, I don't even want to say, but most people will know about this one, but it gets very, very difficult, because these scammers are very, very good. Most Discord's communities will tell you to close DMs. They will, I'm gonna say 99% of the communities will always say that the team will never DM you. So when you got those DMs, always just kind of know that it is essentially going to be a scam. So just make sure that you're really looking out for that. And that's why I always say, in my last video, I kind of did a quick view of Discord, but you want to make sure that you're going to their official links within their thing. They usually will actually have it on their Twitter as well. So always just make sure, can't say this enough, always, and I mean always, make sure you are using official links, because this is a huge way that scammers are, getting a hold of people's wallets. And it's heartbreaking to watch. So I always think that who's not going to know this? But I have had friends, I've had people come into the space that I've kind of talked to, and then I get a message a couple of days later that's I lost everything. So that's why I'm doing these videos. That's why I want people to know. And if I can stop at least, 5 people, 1 person even, from getting scammed coming into this space, I would feel 100 times better. So another big one is the counterfeit. So again, this is exactly how it sounds. It's somebody or a group of people, whoever, scammers, taking the art from a project and posing as that project and selling them. So you would think, how does this happen? There are no really, huge regulations. marketplaces like OpenSea and, Magic Eden really work to try and stop this from happening as well. But it does happen, and it happens quite a bit. So you really kind of want to watch out for this. This is going to lead right back to always make sure that you are using official links when you're going, even when projects go into secondary, because not every single project mints on a marketplace like OpenSea or Magic Eden. They essentially have their own websites, and they mint from there. And then when they go into secondary market, they would go on to Magic Eden. So even when that happens, most of these communities will have a link that brings you directly to their project on Magic Eden, so that there is no kind of, misunderstanding of which project you should be buying. So this one's, have been dwindling a little bit more, which is nice. But when I first came into the space, it was actually really huge. Like I couldn't even, people would just, would screenshot the picture and then re-put it up as a project. So you want to make sure that you're really watching for this. Make sure that you're looking into the project. And again, just use official links. So another one is pump and dumps. So this happens in a lot of markets, not just NFTs. It happens in crypto. It happens in stocks. It happens, So this is where a group of people essentially create a pump within the market or for that project or activity, increase the activity of that project, which essentially increases the floor price. And they're able to then dump their NFTs to gain a profit. But all the suspecting people or investors that had seen this project all of a sudden take off, thinking that there is validity to this project, and that it was going to essentially be good for them, bought into this project when it was just a group of people working to kind of pump that one project to dump them. So this happens a lot. I've seen it happen a lot with smaller cryptos. I've actually seen, WhatsApp groups and alpha groups and stuff like that actually work and look at smaller cryptos and essentially do the exact same thing. They all buy, increasing the market, and then essentially all dump it at the same time. So you want to be very cautious of this when you're coming into the market, and it does happen. So it's good and bad, because you can catch the pump and you can be a part of the person that gets a hold of the project and then dumps really hard. So just be very wary of this one. So another one, and I kind of talked about it even in my last one, especially when we're kind of talking about airdrops, is giveaway/airdrop kind of scams. I featured this one on my Twitter because I kind of wanted to show within the last couple months there has been a Magic Eden airdrop that essentially shows up in your wallet, and it looks like a little NFT, and when you click on it, it brings you to a website where then again it asks you to connect to. So please, if anything shows up in your wallet, just know that, 99.9% of the time, if you are not waiting, or that that you are to receive an airdrop, that it is going to be a scam. Okay, so I always just want to be sure. And I was actually huge on this because I had a friend that lost everything because of this one thing, and all because he didn't ask a simple question, or because he didn't reach out, or because he himself didn't find it necessary, or that he didn't know, right? So that's what I mean when people come into this space. They just don't know. They just don't know how many scams and how scammy it can actually be. So that's why I think it's important to kind of talk about these and kind of get them out there so that people can really have an understanding of how this market is. Okay, so one of the last ones I'm going to highlight here is the customer service support impersonation. So this happens with a lot too. This happens outside the NFT market, but it is huge within the NFT market, where you would get a DM that looks like it's like a customer support from a particular project. And they essentially, again, manage to get information from you. So just always be wary. That's why I say most of these servers within Discord will have open tickets where you're able to kind of talk straight to the team themselves. Most of these communities will not DM you when it comes to the team. So most of the help that you're looking for, or that you would, want to be able to find, is not going to be in your DMs in Discord. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're going, because it does. You're going to come into issues where you're going to want to talk to the team, or you're going to want to kind of, bring up something like maybe you didn't get a whitelist token or something. So, just always be very, very wary that there are people out there impersonating customer service. And, I always kind of go into this idea where people are going to be like, well, duh, Moon Pie, like, of course this information, but I really just want to put it out there. So, again, make sure you're doing your own research. Make sure you're using official links. Make sure you're really digging into a project and taking the time to do the research. And never, and I mean never, never give out your seed phrase. Okay, so when you enter this space, you create a wallet, and when you create this wallet, you are given usually a 12 phrase seed phrase, which would allow you into your wallet if you deleted the app or whatever the case may be. But don't ever give this out. Okay, I know that it seems very simple, and I know it's something that everyone in the space is going to be screaming, well, yeah, but it happens. Okay, so in no way, in no scenario or situation are you as a consumer gonna need to give your seed phrase to anyone. Okay, so don't do it. Always just, be cautious and make sure and ask questions. I've said this a few times, and I've even said it to my friends and even the individual I was talking about. If you are unsure about something, make sure you ask, especially in this space, because it is one of the ones that is, it's very hard, and it's heartbreaking to see people lose so much. And I think almost everyone I know in this space has, become victim to a particular scam in some way. So within the last couple weeks, there has been a couple scams that have come up, and a new one, which has been kind of this Discord scam. So I'll pop her up right there, just kind of a quick screenshot out of a Discord server. But essentially you would be getting a DM that looked like a loading picture. If clicked on, it essentially allowed the person to access your tokens or access your Discord and change your password. So this one was kind of going around within the last couple weeks. Just make sure that you are aware of this one, and don't ever, so if you immediately see a picture, scrolling, back out, close the DM, and back away. So just make sure that you're very, you're very like being cautious of these things. I love these communities because a lot of these communities do put out this stuff so that people can know and have this knowledge. Another one I'm going to kind of just pop up right there is within the last week, scammers had managed to create a Magic Eden site that was appearing even before Magic Eden on particular search engines like Google. So people were essentially clicking this Magic Eden, thinking that they were going into Magic Eden, and it was not the official Magic Eden. And I know that it would seem like one that's like, well, but when you're not really paying attention, or you're just quickly kind of typing it in, or you're typing it and you click, you're not really paying attention, right? Most people would really know. This is one that I just kind of wanted to throw out there because it has been within the last 2 weeks. Both of these have been within the last couple weeks. So these are ones that I really just wanted to highlight in particular of what's happening right now. So, We're going to kind of swing back a little bit to kind of talk about rug pulls. Okay, so this one's this one is very hard, and it is super heartbreaking. So it's nice to see, and this is where it's hard because in this decentralized area of unregulated markets, how when we want help, then it really kind of takes away the decentralized area of regulation. So it is kind of nice, and I laugh because I'm going half and half on this, and I know that probably people within the space would feel a little bit of the same way, in the understanding that, you know, the US has recently started to shift towards taking action towards, you know, scams like NFT scams, rug pull scams in particular. So you know, in January, the U.S. appointed its like first ever crypto enforcement team, and then later in March, the FBI made one of their very first rug pull busts, I guess. So in this bust, two individuals were actually criminally charged, and this was in regards to the Frosties rug. So, you know, this was a very big rug. A lot of people kind of knew about this rug. This rug was about, particularly, I think it was reported around $1.3 million that was kind of taken from investors. And so, in the light that it's nice to see there be some sort of action towards making these scammers accountable for doing these things, it also brings to the question of the regulation within decentralized markets like NFTs and crypto. So that's one of the things it's nice. It's nice to see these steps being taken because there are a lot of people losing money. Myself particular, I have been a part of several rug scams. It's hasn't been very easy, and this is one of those like toxic kind of areas that I don't think people talk enough about. And even and I'm just gonna shed light, okay? I'm not gonna mention the project, but if you know me in the space, or you have met me through, you know, this one particular community, then you know that I have helped out with projects, right? So whether you become a moderator or a community manager, or, you know, whatever, you know, kind of position that they hold within their community, and a lot of NFT projects, they need this, especially within their Discord servers. A lot of these people are not, you know, fully connected to their project. They're just somebody that was hired by like a company to help them out within this thing, and then essentially have to deal with being connected to a project that potentially rugged, you know? So this this is one of the things that really made me very demotivated within the space, because it is super hard to talk about the aspect that a lot of these people, and I'm only saying this because I want it to kind of be out there, and that some of these people have no idea that it's happening within a rug pull. Some of the people even working or helping with the project have no idea what's happening in the core team or the higher level, and end up dealing with the burden afterwards of it. So I just wanted to say that I feel for any person that, or any moderator, any community manager, any person that has been within any kind of project that has essentially pulled out from you, and you have had to kind of deal with that, because it is hard. I even talked about it that, it's people that like I've met within the space that make me want to be here, because they are just like amazing, supporting, and they are, super open. And then there is this side of it that becomes very toxic and stressful to deal with. And and I definitely feel for those people, and I feel for the communities, and I feel for the unsuspecting people just wanting to be a part of something, and then having to deal with the heartbreaking crush of that project essentially just not being there anymore. So I've watched a lot of people put a lot of time and energy into projects just to have them be pulled. And and it sucks. So this is my heart out to all of you guys, and I know that there's going to be a large group of you that know who and what I am talking about. Because it is, I was a part of two back-to-back kind of rugs, and I was essentially helpful, or like a part of the team. And I don't think people really actually look to understand that we are people too, right? So this is one that I just, I really wanted to highlight this one, because I understand people's frustrations, and I also just want people to really kind of look into and delve into how it affects people. So maybe some of these project people could actually see videos like this and actually realize that you have affected people's lives in the way that you are dealing with it. Now, I always say, I and I know a lot of people take this the wrong way, don't ever invest what you can't afford to lose, and all those little statements that people make. But when you take the time to be a part or build a community of people that you care for, that you talk with every day, and you then have to essentially go through a breakup, it becomes draining, right? So I just always want to put that out there. I just want people to kind of like see that, you are allowed to be angry, and you should be angry. I'm angry. I'm so angry. But, take the time to really look at the people you are getting angry at. Okay? Because these moderators within these communities are not your punching bags. Okay? And, most of these people don't deserve it. They don't deserve it at all, right? So there is a placement for your frustrations, and especially when we're talking about scams, and especially when we're talking about toxicity, people are angry, and people come in full swing on how they feel, and by all means, you should. But just remember that, okay? Like, these communities of people are people, okay? So that's, going to kind of lead me nicely into kind of this second part that I wanted to kind of talk about. And we're going to start it off with the word FUD. We're going to start off with the word FUD, okay? So if you've ever heard this word, then you know what I'm talking about. If you have not, it is used pretty much within every single community, within the NFT space, within kind of Discord. FUD essentially means fear, uncertainty, and doubt, is kind of where that sprouted from. This word, though, this one really gets me, okay? This one gets me because I feel like it's a way for projects to shut anyone down that isn't following the wag me spirit, in the idea of just follow and support, and don't ask questions and don't be concerned and don't have opinions. So I know I'm feeling spicy about this one, that I could have particular people come at me for this, but I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. This word just drives me absolutely insane, because it is. I've watched it so many times be used as a means to shut down an individual from coming in and voicing their concerns. So, as I just previously said, these people are not emotional punching bags, but when people come in as investors and asking questions or stating how they feel or certain things like that without being aggressive or without having any kind of verbal abuse or anything along those lines, and then are completely shut out from that and being deemed immediately as FUD, is toxic. It's toxic as hell. Okay. These, we all deserve a voice. I've had a particular situation. Again, I will never mention any kind of servers or anything like that or names. But, I had a particular situation where it happened to me, and the server was immediately timing people out for having any kind of concern. So I've even heard of something as crazy as adding a bitch tax. How you would implement this, I have no idea. And again, I feel like some people might come at me for this, but it is what it is. I don't think that that's a healthy way to kind of create a business or to have a community that you essentially say that you care about, or that you want to come together, or that you want their opinions, but only if they agree with yours. So I know this one's gonna, super hard, because people come in super angry about floor price or this or that. And don't get me wrong, okay? Do not. There are people, lots of them, that take the time and only take the time, to troll servers, to cause problems and to call down the project, even though they really have no involvement, or whatever the case may be. So this does happen, and I think it's ridiculous. I think it's one of those things that I don't know why someone would do that, but it does happen, and there's a different level in which I do believe, but I think this word has allowed this space to lump a very, very large, and I mean very large, demographic of people with concerns and questions into one thing. And that is not right. That is not right. So be very wary of this when you go into it, when you go into servers and you're asking questions. And, particular servers are very different on kind of the behavior they'll accept. I've had communities that are super awesome where like you won't even really see people swearing at each other. And when you do, someone immediately says like, hey, like we don't really do that here. But then I've been a part of servers that, write, fuck it, we nut, a million times in the same server, pardon my language, but, yeah, just, you go into these servers and you're like, wow, it's hard, right? Because these NFTs are based off communities, and every community can be slightly different. So you kind of want to always just like wade in when you go in there and see kind of how you feel about the community itself. Because there are like a lot of amazing communities, like, and I'm talking a lot, like, it's just, it is hard, and I'm not gonna lie, I have got rid of NFTs, particularly because I did not like the way that a community was going, or the way that like situations were being handled. But that's your choice as an investor, right? So I always want to tell people that like, don't feel like you need to stay stuck because you purchased this NFT. If you don't like it, then get out, and that's why I always say this. So another one of these good examples is that even being a part of projects and kind of helping out as like moderator, the idea of floor price or people selling and then people in there just like dogging this paper hand is what they like to call it, which is essentially, selling your NFT for just sell, at the floor price or lowering the floor price or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So there are these terms of paper hands and diamond hands within it. And don't get me wrong, in certain areas, I think this is great, but I also believe that it like lumps a large demographic into one thing, which is, pretty toxic. But, I've been part of communities where it was very strong on, we don't talk down to paper hands here, or we don't know somebody's situation, so we don't know why somebody sold their NFT or why they're needing more like liquidity right now. Like we don't know their personal situation, so why would we need to judge? Who cares? You know what I mean? If you invested in a project and you believed in it, then you believe in it. So that's one of the things where I just, it's it's so hard to kind of understand. And this is why we'll say that if you do take the time and you are interested in like being a moderator or helping out with some of these projects, I would say go for it. But I would also say to like take into account some of these things, because it is very stressful. It is very hard when this like level of toxicity just like continues to kind of increase, and the pressure on yourself as an individual kind of starts to outweigh the benefit of what you would be receiving. So I've learned so much though. So throughout my time in what I took part in, and I'm super happy about that, because I would not have met a good portion of people that I know within this space, and I wouldn't have built the connections, and I would but and I'm super grateful for that, right? Like I'm super grateful for that. But I have watched several communities now have to deal with the immense amount of heartbreak, and it sucks. So I don't think there's anything, or that can fully prepare you, or where you could have a full understanding of what you could deal with stepping into this space. But I hope that I was able to kind of shed even just like the tiniest bit of light on it, because it's one of those things to me that it's very close to my heart in what I'm wanting to accomplish within this space. And that is, more than anything, is to educate people on, what you should be prepared for when you come into this space. So again, I don't want to drone on. It's already been super, super long, and I know that there's so much more that I wanted to really kind of say within this episode, and I'm sure that I will talk about it again. But just within this last week, I'm sure a lot of people will understand the reasons for choosing kind of this topic. So, again, I'll just quickly kind of run through the scams that I really, really think that you should be aware of, and that's rug pulls, phishing scams, counterfeit scams, pump and dumps, giveaway/airdrop scams, customer service support impersonation, and again, always make sure that you're using official links, you're never giving out your seed phrases, and always, always, always please do your own research and make sure that you're looking into these projects. So again, don't always rely on the things that people are putting out there, especially when it comes to things like looking for docs teams and everything. It is very good and something you should look for when you're, but like always remember that there is the possibility of this happening when you invest into a project. So, not always, not the lightest side of NFTs, but I think it's a very important side to be talked about. And if there's anything I missed, if there's anything you'd like to know more about, I would honestly love to hear more, even just your opinion on this matter. Please hit me up in the comments, because I think that this conversation needs to keep going. And again, as I said, as this, industry is moving in like such a fast pace, that these scams are, coming out just as fast as well. So always remember, though, that when you're looking at projects, look out for these things. And when you're going into communities, realize that not every community is going to be the same. And not everyone is going to be part of the same age demographic, let alone from the same country or culture. And some of these communities are not going to be for you. And that's okay. And that's totally fine. But make sure that you're doing and taking this time. And that's why I say to people, before you do that, if you get into an NFT and you tell me you haven't even been in their Discord, it really just kind of makes me go because you want to know, right? And even people that are flippers, I don't even care whether you're in this for the long run or you're an NFT flipper that's just looking to kind of like make money. Which essentially is what a lot of people are coming into this market for. You really just want to make sure that you're taking the time to kind of, because there are going to be projects that you're going to want to be a part of, that you could hold for the long run and that would be beneficial for you. But just make sure that you're taking that time. So thank you for taking the time to listen today. And I'd love to continue this conversation in the comments, so please hit me up. I would love to know what all of you think about this topic. If there's anything that you could help suggest, give advice for any of the newcomers or people entering this space, please, feel free to drop them down below. Because that's what this is all about, okay? This is what I am, like, my mission is to educate people within this space, and I'm feeling really good about doing that, and this is one of the topics that was very important to me. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, and I am going to sign out now. Me looking all a little casual today, but that's okay. Thank you so much. I hope to see you next time. And again, I look forward to kind of bringing this knowledge to you. And I hope you guys have a great day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Okay, Moon Pie out.